Welcome everybody to the Real Dealz podcast, one of the top-ranked real estate investing podcasts for the last 7 years. This is the place to be for investing strategies you can actually use, expert interviews, and of course, some good old-fashioned entertainment. Now, here's your host for the show, Elliot, the REI guy, Smith.
Welcome to the show, Real Dealz podcast listeners. I'm excited today because I am filming this intro in sunny Key West, Florida. And so pretty excited. Chrissy, Monty, and I are on a 3-week excursion through Florida. I was here back when I was 18, but I don't remember a ton of it because I was drinking a ton back then, back when I was having lots of issues with drinking, and kind of ruined the trip for my parents. And so that wasn't good memories. So we always laugh about that trip, some of the stuff I did when we went to BVI. And so my stepmom always says, Elliot, one day you're going to have to re-buy us a trip and I'll go do that again, the sailing trip again, because the last experience wasn't very good. So anyway, but we got into Miami on Tuesday night. Crazy story. So we get in at we're leaving with our car at 10:30, and we're gonna go get some food. We haven't really ate. We've been flying all day for the most part, and so Christy and I are driving around, and most places seem to be closed. And so I'm like, oh, there's this diner 7 minutes away, and it had 5,000 reviews. So I'm like, this must be good. So we start going, and then all of a sudden I get on the freeway, and I'm like, shit, it's 23 minutes away. And I'm like, it said 7. And so anyway, we're already on our way. Let's keep going. So we went there. Food was fine. It was nothing too crazy good, but it was like diner food. So anyway, go back, get home, get to our Airbnb, which was not as advertised as I should say. So we get in there, and they did have a pack and play, but they only had one blanket in the entire house. And they called this thing a 2-bedroom. It wasn't a 2-bedroom. It was a 1-bedroom with a living room that they counted as a 2-bedroom, and a pull-out futon, and really no furniture. And there's only one blanket in the entire house. So just on Christy and our bed. So we're like, okay, shoot. So we put some towels down for Monty, try to put him in this pack and play, put him in the closet right next to our room so we can hear him. He's kind of fussing. Finally, we're like, okay, maybe it's cold. So we give him our blanket, and Christy and I are just using a sheet. Now it's 1:30 in the morning, 2 in the morning. And so he just keeps fussing. And then all of a sudden, sometimes he gets himself so worked up that he'll throw up. And we like to let him cry it out, but this time it didn't work out very well. So he threw up all over the only blanket in the entire Airbnb. So that sucked. So him and I hop in the bath. Chrissy cleans it up, starts cleaning it up. Then I help clean the rest of it up after I get out. We put him in bed with us. He never, ever, ever sleeps with us. Unless the only time he sleeps with us when he's super sick. But he wasn't really sick. He just vomited because he got himself all worked up, and then he had projectile vomited when we pulled him out of the crib. So that was fun. So we're under this sheet, and I wake up at 6:30, and I'm looking at him, and he's wide awake. So I'm like, shoot. So I get dressed, and then I put him back in the crib, give him some other stuff like my clothes or whatever, put him back in the crib. And then I go to Walmart and I buy breakfast stuff and blankets and stuff and things like that. And I only bought one blanket. My wife's like, why did you buy one? We needed 2. But I was just so tired. So anyway, get back, all worked out. But very eventful. We always seem to start our trips off very eventful. But while we were on the trip, on Sunday before we left, I had gone on a seller appointment that my buddy had teed me up for. He lives 2 hours north, does some marketing in my town sometimes, and then I'll go on appointments and we'll partner on these deals unless it's a lay down deal and he picks it up. So this one needed a lot of work. Anyway, long story short, negotiated it, got the deal done. We're negotiating the deal. I had to go do a sewer scope. Got a couple guys through there because I got my contractor through there and a couple guys that might want to buy it because it was just too big of a fix for us. And so ended up assigning that contract out, but we closed it, inked it we got all inked up when we landed from LAX, when we landed in Miami. So love doing that. One of my favorite deals I ever did, I negotiated at 7:30 in the morning as I'm walking through Indonesia, Bali customs, negotiating a deal at 7:30 in the morning over there. So love negotiating, closing, tying up deals while I'm on vacation, because I know I just paid for that vacation. So pretty cool. So this week, great show. I know we say that every week, but I really like this show a lot. They just seem to be getting better and better, and hopefully I am asking good questions. So we have Dr. Joseph Asamoah. He's a gentleman that lives in Washington, D.C. He's got 31 rentals. He does a lot of the BRRRR method. He's been doing this for 25, 35 years, something like that. And he goes after Section 8 housing, but he's puts a kind of a spin on it. So everybody listens about Section 8 housing and thinks, oh, it's going to be crappy housing, it's going to be shitty tenants, all this stuff. I really think you're going to get a lot out of this, because he put a totally different spin on this, that type of investing, and he's getting great cash flow and great rents, and very rinse and repeat kind of deals. So, and the other thing is, we do get stuff. I love asking people questions about their perspective on life. So every one of us has grown up in a different circumstances. We've seen different things, we've experienced different things. Our parents were different, our family was different, what we were taught in school was different, all these different things. And so I love asking people about their experiences, and I love asking people where they got their viewpoints and why, because I want to open and broaden my horizons. This is where the people always say, hey, go travel for a year. Go see how different cultures live. Go see how different people are doing things. And I think that's really what's missing, is we're so focused on like hating the other side, instead of just asking people like, why do you think this way? And what experience have you been through that's got you to think this way? And so I love asking those questions in a non-confrontational way. I love learning. I love learning about people. I love changing my mind on things. I love being open-minded to saying, hey, somebody's doing something different, or this guy had a different experience and sees things this way. And I really enjoy doing that, because I like watching YouTube videos on crazy stuff. Like, Saudi Arabia has like 15,000 acres of farmland in the Western United States, because they don't have a ton of water. Or watching videos about Benjamin Franklin. Or the other night, my wife and I were talking about the atmosphere and global warming and stuff. So I'm like, I need to learn about the atmosphere. So I started watching YouTube videos for like an hour and a half about the atmosphere and the 5 different layers and all these things. So I think having a knowledge and just learning about life is really important, because and other people and other cultures, because it helps you not sweat the small stuff so much. Like, really, what is the biggest problems of our time, and how do we solve those, and not worry about the little shit that doesn't really matter. So anyway, great week for us. Excited to go do some scuba diving, watch Monty play on the beach, go hang out with some friends, and just really excited about this. So hope you guys enjoy the podcast. If you do want to skip ahead, after this intro, I have a sales call, and it's from start to offer made and offer accepted, where I go talk about it. It's about 26 minutes long. I cut and paste and put some comments in there. So if you're enjoying those, you can go ahead and listen to that next. If you don't want to listen to the sales call, you just want to listen to the interview, you can jump ahead. It's about 26 minutes ahead of where you're at right now. So hope you guys enjoy the show, and we'll catch you in the next one.
All right, Real Deals podcast listeners, I want to talk quickly about our show's sponsor, Ironbridge Lending. If you guys have not reached out to Ironbridge already to talk to them about funding some of your upcoming flip projects, I highly encourage you to do so. I've known the owner of Ironbridge for a very long time. I've personally borrowed millions of dollars from them over the years to do a number of different projects, and I can say without a doubt, they are the best hard money lending company I have ever come across, and that is the reason why they are the sole sponsor of this show. I've had a lot of other companies reach out to me and want to sponsor this show, but I just won't do it. I feel like I need to be genuine in who we have sponsoring the show, and it needs to be somebody that I've personally done a ton of business with. So I personally vouch for their ability to be the best, hands down, in the world of hard money lending. You won't find better programs, you won't find better terms, and they're lending or will be lending in over 20 states. So chances are, if you're hearing this in whatever state you're in, it's definitely worth it to check out their website, reach out to them, see if they're lending in your state, and if they are, I would absolutely encourage you to do business with them. Another very cool thing to note is that they have a program for most rehabs where you can actually borrow up to 90% of the purchase price. Now, this is given the fact that you are actually buying a deal, which if you're listening to the show, that means you probably are. But if you have an actual deal on the table, they'll fund up to 90% of your purchase price, and they'll even give you rehab funds on top of that, which means that it only takes 10% down to get into a project, which is unbelievable in the hard money world. So do yourself a favor, reach out to Ironbridge Lending, have a conversation with them, see if they're a good fit for you and for your next project. I can guarantee you that you'll be happy that you did.
In your phone call from earlier today.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Great. Sounds like you had a tenant move out and you're getting ready to sell your property over on 102nd.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
I'm interested in knowing what interest you might have in purchasing it.
Yeah. Well, I can kind of tell you a little bit about how we work, and then you can kind of tell me how you'd like to proceed. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So what we'll do is we'll drive certain neighborhoods we're interested in buying in. We don't do a ton of research on the front end just because we're not sure who's going to call us back. But once somebody like yourself calls in, what we'll do is we'll talk to them a little bit about the property and see if we're a good fit for an appointment. And what we kind of talk about is if your property has been fully updated, so new kitchen, roof, windows, siding, bathrooms, flooring, things like that, then your best bet's going to be the retail market. You'll just get a little bit more money. You get more money that way. But if the property does need some work, then we can be a great fit as we have in-house contractors that do the work quite a bit cheaper than most people. We buy it as is. There's no realtor fees. It's a more flexible transaction. We can buy it in a week or we can buy it in 2 months, whatever works best for you. But we do this as a business, so we do it to make money. So we either buy them to fix them up to resell and hopefully make a profit, or we'll buy them, fix them up, and turn them into a rental.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, very good. The tenant and I are doing a walkthrough this afternoon at about 5 o'clock, so it'll be vacated. I did go through it with him last week, and obviously it's been lived in, very apparently lived in, and it's going to need new carpeting. It's going to need a new paint job. Landscaping and is going to be needed and all of that good stuff. So yeah, it's probably fits into that category that you're talking about, that selling it as is and getting the best price possible, and things of that nature. So yeah, that's where we are right now.
Okay. Do you have any idea of what you think you'd like to get for it?
Well, I did have a real estate agent who I've not listed with, but who if I did list it, I'd go with her. Give me sort of a ballpark figure, and that's all I really know. She gave a figure of between, and it's a pretty broad range and whatnot, but a figure about $235,000 to $300,000.
Gotcha.
I'm a bit skeptical, quite frankly, on the top end there. I think that would involve fixing it up significantly in order to get that kind of a price. But that's basically the range she gave. So, I understand. We have two other people that are sort of in the position that you're in. One's going to look at it tonight when I'm there at the walkthrough, and I don't know whether he's going to be interested or give an offer or whatever, but he'll at least get a bird's eye view of it. And the other one, I think, is willing to do a walkthrough, but he, based upon the information that he had, he was thinking range, quite frankly, I think is on the low side, which is understandable, of about $180,000 to $200,000. So, that's the information I have at this point in time. And
okay, David, let me talk to you a little bit. So, what would you be opposed to showing it maybe when you're done with the gentleman to my partner this evening, after you're done with the other gentleman this evening, so you can kind of kill two birds with one stone? Or
that might not be a bad idea. Yeah, I'd prefer to do it individually like that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, we would as well.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this, David. So really quick, I want to kind of give you some feedback on of kind of what this business is and kind of how this business works. So I speak all over the country about investing. I have a pretty good reputation, and my business partner's been doing it in Vancouver for 25 years. So if we were to make you an offer, and I'm not for the property, what our offer would be, it would be an all cash offer. We would show you proof of funds, and we would put $10,000 to $20,000 non-refundable as soon as the contract was signed. If all we'd have to do is one walkthrough, and we would put $10,000 non-refundable down. So if we were to not buy it for any reason, you would get $10,000. Also in that contract, we waive our inspection, and there's also this thing that I want you to really think about when you're listening to these other guys. There's no assignment of contract in our contract. So a lot of these guys that you've gotten letters from over the years, what they do is they'll try to tie you up at a price, and then they'll tell you they need to get their contractor and this partner and this guy in to walk the property, because they're actually going to try to sell it to somebody like me. They don't actually a lot of times have the cash to actually close on the property. So when we talk to people,
I've heard of that. Yeah, buying property without your cash. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So when you take an offer from somebody, I'm not saying it has to be ours or not, but you want to say, okay, well, I want non-refundable earnest money, and a lot of them will try to do $100 or whatever. Say I want, if they can't match the terms, then they don't really actually have the cash to buy it. If they can't put $10,000 down and not worry about losing it because they know they're going to close, and they're not actually don't have the cash to buy it.
Okay.
So just take that into consideration when you're with that other gentleman. And then just don't, sometimes they'll come in on the appointment and try to get you to sign right there. Think about it. We don't ever bring a contract with us. We don't pressure anybody. So just a lot of them will try to get you to sign right there on the spot. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes good sense. I appreciate that information. Okay, well then maybe he could be there about 6 o'clock. I can be, yeah.
Okay, well I'm just gonna, not that you're gonna be tied to this, but what I was talking about with the no inspection, no assignment, and the large earnest money, I'm just gonna send you over a sample contract that we normally use, just so you can have an idea. Just so you can kind of look over it, how simple we use everything. So is where we close everything down there.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, do you need my email address?
Yeah, what's a good email for you?
.com.
Okay, and then all right, perfect. I'll shoot you over. I'll fill out a couple little things in there. Obviously, I won't fill out the price, but I'll send it over there to you just so you can kind of look over it and kind of see how it is. Again, offer. That's it. We don't have to go back through the property again. We don't have to come back to the house. We'll just once you can take what you want. If the tenant left some stuff, no big deal. And then we can close it if you wanted to close it. If there's no loan on the property, we can close it in 2 or 3 days. If there's a loan on the property, usually 7 days.
Yeah, there's no loan. The only thing on it is about a $1,500 sewer assessment. When I converted from septic to sewer, I did it via an assessment, and obviously that'd be
no
paid
problem.
off at closing. So yeah.
Yeah, no problem. That's easy peasy.
Yeah, no problem there. That's for sure. Okay, I'll look forward to getting the contract.
Yeah, I'll send it over here. Probably and it takes me about 10 minutes to put them together. So probably about 3:15, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So the reason I did this before the appointment is, I always want to set the credibility So once we know we're up against competition and guys like this, I'm going to send them over a contract, kind of what it looks like, so they understand, like, we are simple. This is what it looks like standard. So this is what I'm doing, sending it over to them. Just prefacing the appointment, we don't bring the contracts with us to sign, but hey, here's what it's going to look like if you do sign with us. So it's all about credibility and showing people that you can do what you say you're going to do.
You're not working too hard today, are you?
Well, trying not to, but
Yeah.
I had my email hacked a little while ago, so
Oh, no.
I
That's no good.
I went in and changed my password. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
All right. Well, hey, just
That's fine. He looked it over and he said that he'd get back to me Monday.
well, yeah. Well, I guess here's kind of the thought process, David. Is I don't track possibly.
Well, he
what?
immediately backed away from that when I said I didn't want to. So he said
Yeah.
he could go away. He was just throwing that out as a possibility. That's all.
Gotcha. Yeah, but he said he wasn't going to get back to you until Monday next week to make you an offer.
Yeah, he's going to be out of town. So.
Gotcha. So I guess the question is, we want to work with you, but we want to, if you're wanting to wait and to see where everybody comes in, I mean, that we can wait until Monday if you want to do that, or if you want to try to put something together with us, we can go that route too. It just kind of depends on what you're wanting out of this idea.
Well, I'd be more than happy to work with you. I told the guy I would see what he had to say Monday. That's all. So.
Gotcha.
So I thought, and I told Corey that I'd get back to him once I had talked to that guy and see where we were. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, I just wanted to touch base with you and kind of see what what route you wanted to go. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can follow up with you.
Yeah, let's follow up Monday on that and see if we can reach some kind of an agreement.
Yeah, perfect. All right, that sounds fair to us, and we'll go from there.
So right here, we're like the early point of that week, and so the gentleman had a couple other people come walk the property, and a lot of people try to get their offer in here and try to be, let's get them locked down, let's do this offer now. But we don't do that. We would rather wait. I don't want to be the one that sets the bar, because this guy's not going to make a decision until he hears everybody out. He's just going to, that's how he's going to work. And so, let's let it play out. And then we can go from there. And so we'll wait till the next week. You always want to be the last offer in the door. So you're not setting the bar. I got Monty helping me today, so we're going for it. Say, is that a good job, Monty? Mama, yeah, okay, good. Let's get after it. Let's go to the next part. You ready? Yeah? Yeah. Okay.
I just thought I'd give you a call. I've talked about this with my wife, and I don't know if you want to make an offer after having had your partner there look it over, I don't know if you've done any further research on it, or would you prefer me just to state what we're willing to sell it for?
Yeah, why don't you kind of tell me where you're at,
okay.
And then we'll go from there.
All right. Well, we're willing to sell it under the terms that you set forth on that document. The purchase and sale agreement at $240,000.
Gotcha. Okay, and that's the lowest you'd go.
Pretty much, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did the other guys' offer come in around there?
No, I haven't even talked to anybody else. I just, you've been the most responsive, and so I thought I'd call you first.
Yeah, I talked to this. We wanted to kind of be closer to 210, but he did give me the ability to say that we could go to 220. But that's, I have to talk to him a little bit more, but I think that's kind of where we want to be. So, it's about 20 grand away from where you're at, obviously.
Yeah, well.
But we close that in a week. I mean, that's the thing. We can sign it up, close it, and be done by next week. So.
Yeah. Well, I need to talk to these other two people that have showed an interest before I respond or counter or anything like that. So.
Okay.
So I'll.
All right. Yeah, because I know you said one of the guys was at 220 or 180 to 200, correct?
Let me see.
The guy, he hadn't seen it, but he gave you a ballpark of 180 to 200.
Yeah, he didn't make an offer as much as he thought that was what its value was. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
all right.
The real estate appraiser or the real estate agent that wants to list it with us was much higher than the 240. But then I realized.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, yeah, here's the real thought process, David, is what are you going to have to do to, sell it? Are there going to be more repairs you're going to have to go down the road? I can't tell you and count how many times I've made offers to guys, and then what they end up selling it, they end up going with a real estate agent, and they end up selling it for, a price that they would have made more money just selling it to me and a lot less headache. Yeah. And so, we do provide a service. We do this to make a living. So it's, we're not trying to steal it from you, right?
No, I understand.
But it's it's ease of transaction.
You're a for-profit organization. I understand that. And
yes, sir.
And so let me talk to. There are two others, and I'm going to make them the same offer and see what they do, and I'll get back to you. Okay.
All right. If you could please keep where we came in at, between us. I don't like playing bidding wars with people. We're the best in Clark County.
Yeah. I'm uncomfortable doing that too. I just want to see what they're willing to pay for.
Yeah, and then the other thought process would make sure if they come higher, make sure they can match my terms. Because if they can't, then they're, if they can't match those terms, they're not really. Yeah. So yeah, I just, yeah. So anyway, this weekend, and I'll let you know. You talk it over, and when would be a good day for me to call you back and follow up with you?
I would say tomorrow would be good.
Perfect. Okay. We'll do that.
So at this point, we made our offer. He's had everybody kind of go through. We're at the point in time. Yeah, we always want to be the last ones to make the offer. I thought I was at this point, but he is already coming at us saying, hey, here's where we want to be. So I can't really say, oh, I'm going to wait and wait and wait. If I do, then he's going to think, you're just trying to, drag this out or whatever. So anyway, you got to sometimes get on it. And so this is when I got on it, and we'll see what happens. Go from there.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, I just wanted to get back to you on to see if we can work out any sale arrangement. I've talked with my wife. I've had everybody look at it that is in a similar posture that you're in, and that is buying it as is for cash. I would be willing to sell it to you for $125,000, $225,000.
Oh no, I like the first number.
Yeah,
I got it. I got done. Yeah, you're a hard negotiator.
Yeah, I tell you, a back away. Anyway, 225. If that's workable with you.
Do you have? Okay, let me hear. Yesterday, have unknowns with this property, right? You got the oil tank, oil furnace. You got obviously we need the roof. The concern with the tree and the sewer systems and all those things. There is a lot of unknowns. You know what I mean? When we said we want to be that was really kind of where we wanted to be. because this thing is probably going to cost us $80,000 to put it back together. That's what they're costing. I mean, we just did a full one of these just down the road on 10th Southeast 10th Street over off by Mill Plain kind of, and that's what it came in at roughly, you know, and just and there is some, you know, if we have to do something with that sewer line, that's $10,000 right there, and then the oil furnace is going to be an issue. So, you know, coming up to 220 was kind of, you know, really kind of where we really needed to be, like, and that's us taking a decent amount of risk. Because at that point we're into it 300. If we are into it 80, we're into it 300, and then what's it going to sell for? You know, it's only. You get what I'm saying? I mean, are you flexible at all? I mean, what's your thought process?
Well, you know, we started at 240, so yeah, I think we're flexible because we've come down to by $15,000. Yeah, so I agree,
and I appreciate that. Right now I'm just having a conversation with you, David. I'm not trying to grind you down. And I'd like to hear your position as well. I'm just kind of telling you where our position is.
I understand. I have received an offer from one of the others of $225,000.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I just wanted you to know that. But I'd prefer to work with you because I was impressed with your presentation and the fact that you know, you had a template contract ready to go and all of that. So and you were the first one to really approach me on it. So I'd prefer to work with you, but I do have an offer. Now I'm going to be honest and open with you that's subject to the two things that you talked about, and that is checking to make sure the sewer line is clear. There's no problem there. And checking on the tank. So those are the only conditions.
Yeah. And ours are just taking it with the unknown. See, because a lot of here's the problem with the sewer line guys when they come in. 95% of the sewer line guys also repair sewers. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
So they always seem to find. I have a guy I really like that. They don't repair sewers. They just give you an honest assessment. We really like that guy. And so, because the problem is, then they come back and they say, well, you need a new sewer line, and then they grind you down, and you might not even need a new sewer line. But we've had to replace 2 of them this year, so I know it's costing me. So let my partner and I want to make, and he's the one that really had his eyes on it. Let me call him and see what his thoughts are. And I'll call you back. If I get a hold of him, I'll call you back within 5 or 10 minutes. If I don't, I'll try to call you. I have a 1 o'clock meeting. I'll call you after that.
Yeah, you might want to call after that because I have to pick up my granddaughter at 1 o'clock at the school and take her home. So,
okay, perfect. All right.
This afternoon, and I'll hold off.
I'll call you. I have a 1 o'clock, so I'll try to call you like around 1:45.
Okay. The third guy, by the way, he still was hung up on terms, wanting to pay a hefty down payment, and I wasn't interested in that, so we didn't go anywhere. So anyway, that's where we are.
What was the company? What was the company that gave you the 225?
Well, I suppose I could give you that information.
It was either they will tie you up, and then they will try to sell it to somebody like me. I can shoot you email after email after don't buy the homes. Did they match? I mean, were they willing to go 10,000 non-refundable, close in a week? I mean, that's the question, right?
We didn't get into those terms at all. No.
Yeah. So again, you know, what's that?
We did get into the closing costs, which are the same as what you have in your contract. So, yeah, well, get back to me and let me know what you think, and I'll take it from there. Okay.
All right. Do the 225. We'll close it by. We can close it by next Friday, like next Thursday or Friday, whenever the title company's ready to go.
Sounds good to me. Send me the contract. Can you email me the contract, and I'll get my wife to sign it along with me, or?
Yep, and then I will also loop in. So it will be in my name.
Competitive. It's all about the same. And escrow can vary a little bit, but I'm not too concerned. What generally, just out of curiosity, what generally is
escrow fee that she charges?
Well, on my side, they're really cheap. I get cheaper than builder rates. So I don't know where they go on the seller side. Usually I tell people to plan now that the excise tax has changed for under 500,000. Usually about 2% is usually where you're going to be in closing costs. Is kind of where it kind of tends to be. It seems like.
Oh, you mean total closing?
Yeah. That's with escrow or excise tax. Excise tax, the works, right?
Yeah, right. That's right.
So
yeah, no problem. Okay, send it over and I'll get it signed. Do you want me to physically drop it by your office or?
No, you're more than welcome to actually, if you have a printer and a scanner at your house, you're more than welcome to just sign that and send it back, scan it back to me. And then what I'll actually do is when I'll send you the contract, I'm going to loop.
Well, and there you have it. So, paid a little bit more than we wanted to, but still a good deal, good area. Wasn't outside of our buy price, really where we wanted to be. I think we said we'd be under like 235 for this one. So, very fortunate to get it. We built good rapport. He liked us better than other guys. He trusted us more. So he went with us. And that's kind of, why it matters the way we do things is we beat guys all the time. More often than not, we are beating people unless their price is just ridiculously higher. There's a lot of times we'll actually pay less than other guys have offered, but they haven't done a good job building the trust or the confidence that they can actually perform. So hope you guys enjoyed this. A lot of audio clips to put together, so hopefully the order works out good, and hope you have a great day.
All right, what's going on, Real Deals podcast listeners? I got a great show lined up, I think, today with my friend Kevin actually introduced us. And so I got Dr. Joseph Asamoah on the show today. You guys might have heard him on the Bigger Pockets podcast. He has a bunch of rentals. He's been doing it for 30 years over in the DC market. And he's got some really good strategies for doing rental properties. I know that you had told Kevin, and Kevin told me about you a couple 6 months ago. He's like, man, this guy gets so much rent. This guy's amazing. This guy just knows what he's doing. I really like him. And so I'm excited to get into it and, kind of learn more about who you are.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Kevin. I don't know if I'll talk about Kevin. Yeah. If Kevin, if you're listening, I don't know if I'm going to be thanking you or what, but I'm really honored to be here, Elliot. I'm looking forward to the conversation and thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. Yeah. Kevin's a good guy though, man. He just wants to learn and he's about to have a baby. I think he should be having a baby anytime soon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
Life will change. So why don't we kind of get into it? We talked a little bit about where you grew up but why don't we go back and so the guests can kind of know who you are, where you came from, what you're a doctor of, and is it Dr. Love or is it a doctor, with a PhD, or Dr. Rentals?
Yeah, the love doctor.
Yeah.
What's it called? My name is Joseph Asamoah, and I was born in Ghana, and that was in West Africa. And then when we were 5 years old, my parents moved to England. So I lived in England, in London, the capital city. And I stayed there until about 35 years ago when I came to the US. I was working and I was transferred by my job to the US. And I came here literally with 2 suitcases, $100 in my pocket. And I knew one person. And as they say, the rest is history. And I studied in England. I did an engineering degree and then I did an MBA. And then I did a PhD in information systems. But that's neither here nor there. From a real estate perspective, I understand business. The MBA was a game changer for me because it taught me about business. It taught me about, having customers, understanding customers' needs, satisfying customers, having a product that differentiates yourself from the competition, all that kind of stuff, which, I kind of applied it to my real estate environment, what I was doing. And it seems to work because at the end of the day, real estate is a business. And if we come in from a business perspective, and you apply, sound business concepts, it can really sort of catapult and put systems in place which can grow and sort of scale what you're doing. So, I mean, I'd love to talk about, more of that in more detail, but that's kind of
awesome. Yeah, it's funny because you speak about real estate being a business, and I've been on this. I don't know if I think you've said you've been listening to the show, but I've really been talking how real estate is growing up right now in a lot of ways. Like I used to be able to personally do this as a hobby, kind of on the side, work 15, 20 hours a week, do 20, 25 flips a year, make a good living. But it is now changing. You kind of got to run it as a business. You got to have different marketing channels, different strategies, and a lot of people forget that, I have 41 doors, but your tenants are a client for you. And so treating your clients, I know you really speak highly on how you treat your client or your tenants as clients. But before we dive into that, there's a big debate going on in the world right now about college, right? And I want to get your feedback on, I think people are not as educated. There's a lot of debate on the education system in general and saying, oh, look at me, Bill Gates dropped out of school. Well, Bill Gates is a genius. Or, me personally, I dropped out of college. I tested all into high school classes and we've done all right. But is there things that you feel like, what's your thoughts on that, on a college, needing college degrees versus not needing college degrees to run a business and run this kind of real estate life?
I mean, I always believe in a concept of having a plan B. Mm-hmm. Okay. So there's nothing wrong with college. I gained a lot by experiences, friends, and just developed relationships. So from that perspective, it helped me. It sort of positioned me in terms of the way I think, how I socialize, and how I network. But I would say it's absolutely critical. Knowing what I know now, I think if you sort of surround yourself with people who are successfully doing what it is that you want to do, okay? So if you're a real estate investor, if you want to do real estate investing, I think there's value in surrounding yourself, first of all, with people who are like-minded, but more importantly, people who are successfully doing whatever it is that you want to do within real estate investing. Because they've already made the mistakes. They've already sort of learned from the school of hard knocks, and they've been beaten up a few times, and they know what works, what doesn't work in the market that you're in, the niche that you're in. And they will help you avoid what I call unnecessary mistakes. The fastest way to get somewhere is a straight line. If you don't surround yourself with people who are experienced, you'll figure it out eventually, but it just takes too long. And so I think there's probably, if anything, if you can identify people who are successfully doing what it is that you want to do, incentivize them to help you, okay? You got to bring some value to the table, but if you can incentivize them to help you, then I think that you can fast track whatever you're doing, college or no college, without doubt. And that's really, that's how I feel about that anyway.
Okay, so now I love what you're saying. I love your last part too about incentivize them. So you've been doing this for a while. You've probably seen a ton of gurus come and go. Everybody's selling this course or pitching this product or this thing. Mm-hmm. But you're saying, add value or, go learn from somebody. And so do you find that it would be better for somebody to come up to you and say, hey, Dr. Joe, I want to learn what you're doing, or go pay for a course? Or what's your thoughts on, how do you approach that person? I know how I did it, but I'd love to hear your opinions on, actually wanting to help somebody and saying, this is worth my time.
Okay. Let me give you a story. I mean, so many stories I can tell you.
I love stories. Yeah.
The very, very first, when I came to the US, the boss who I was working for got fired very shortly after I came here, and we met up several weeks later, and he said to me, Joe, hey, this is America. These things happen. Welcome to the real world. and so whatever you do, Joe, make sure you have a plan B. Okay. In this case, this guy had like 10 houses, and I couldn't fathom how anybody could have more than one house. I mean, how is that possible? 10 houses? That's like, whoa.
Yeah.
He just says, make sure, look into this real estate thing. But whatever you do, try to keep your houses as opposed to selling them. And because over time, you'll be very thankful for that decision. So that was just this words of wisdom that this guy shared with me.
But that was 35 years ago, Joe. That's when interest rates were 18%. How are you buying? How does he have 10 houses?
That's a good question. So he had 10 houses because he stuck with it. You know, I mean, there's always a way. There's always a way to make things happen. There's always obstacles in life. If you got, if you have the desire, you have the wherewithal, you'll find a way to make it work. But the story goes that I ended up went some guru class, and you know how this story goes.
Yeah.
I bought my first house. It was an utter complete disaster. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Man, I got burnt big time. I knew nothing about real estate, but beyond buying this $200 guru class. Okay.
Yeah.
I met some guy at a RIA meeting, some meeting in DC, and he had a house to sell. He says, "Hey, I got a house, no money down, just like what the guru said. I'll sell it to you, no money down." And I said, "Great." It has some tenants in there. And he said, I asked him, how are the tenants? He said, "Oh man, they're great. I mean, I was straight from England, so I took him at his word. All Americans are honest, so so I mean, I made every single mistake you could get from. I mean, I don't want to bore you with the details, but the point is, if I had found somebody who was doing what I was doing, what I wanted to do, which is to buy. I mean, I sort of lost contact with my boss. This is about 2 years later, I bought my first house. But if I had found someone like he was and said, "Look, this is what I want to do," and and so forth and so on, he would have said, "Okay, Joe, look, this is how you do due diligence.
Yeah.
Okay, this is how you screen tenants. This is how you sort of get the best financing." I didn't know. I just did it.
Yeah.
And I made every mistake you could think of. So the point is that, how do you incentivize someone like a Joe to help you? Okay. My position is that, let's say, where in real estate, there's 5 steps. I mean, we can A, B, C, D, E, whatever niche you can talk about. Okay, whatever. It doesn't really matter. There are 5 steps, A, B, C, D, E. Now, you take the time to understand what those 5 steps are, and then you can tell this seasoned investor, look, I can help you with B, whatever B is, okay? Yeah. I'll take it upon myself to help you with B, and I will take that load off you. Okay, so I've taken the time to understand that there are 5 components, A, B, C, D, E. I understand that, this component of B, which I can probably do, I'll learn B, and I'll bring that value to the table.
Yeah.
And so I'm bringing something to the discussion rather than, "Hey, Elliot, can I pick your brain?"
Yeah. Or the revert. I get that. You probably get all the time. "Hey, can I take you out to coffee or lunch?"
Yeah, right.
I don't have time. I don't want to listen for you an hour. Not that I don't want to help you, but like, do something for me that like makes my life easier. Like, I have kids right now that I'm training and coaching. In a sense, no, they're not paying me anything, but one guy's being my leads manager for me. One kid's helping me with my Instagram and my video editing. One guy's people have skills.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, the skills might not be real estate, but I even offered to one of the guys, this developer guy that I was wanting to build a relationship. I actually went and picked his truck up and he was out of town because he fly in every week. He's like, "Hey, my truck had some issues." I'm like, "Oh, I'll go grab it and take it to wherever your mechanic is. Drop it off." Then I went and picked it back up. And then he's like, "Oh, hey, I left something in there. Can you grab it and take it to your house?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I went and do that. And I told him, I'm like, "I'll literally wipe shit off your shoes because I want your knowledge and I want you to answer the phone when I call you."
Yeah, I think that for people who are seasoned, they can sort of see themselves in you. This is how I was when I was your age. I was hustling and things like that. So it's sort of refreshing. It's sort of nice to see that there's somebody who wants to make it happen. He's hustling. He or she is trying to make a go of it. And it's, and I mean, I think most people are willing to help and share and guide people. Yep. The pie is so big. It doesn't matter that, I'm going to help Elliot. It's not like Elliot's going to buy the whole of, Washington State, and you can help people and, and hopefully you create these win-win scenarios, which everybody gains from.
Yeah. And I talk about it frequently, but my first mentor, I got connected with a guy I worked with, and he owned like 100 doors free and clear, in outside of in our area, and he was doing really well. And I called, and he's like, I called him when I had lunch, and he's like, don't ever ask me for money. I'm only doing this meeting because my buddy asked, but don't ever ask me for money. I'll never give you money. Well, okay, we started talking, and then I would call him and tell him about deals, and he answered the phone more and more and more and more, because he loved, old investors, guys that do it, it's the chase, right? And a lot of the deals, it's the chase, and they love hearing. Then finally, about 8 months in, he's like, hey, you're giving too many good deals away. I'll give you 300 grand to go buy your first flip, and I'll split it with you 75, 25. You get 75, I get 20.
Wow.
What I get 75, he gets 25.
Wow.
And he'll fund the whole thing, and we're off to the races. And then I helped his son when his son was getting into real estate. I helped his son as a payback. Fantastic. And then now his son's off the races, doesn't need me.
Fantastic.
So it's there's value to add, even if you know nothing. Just so.
Yeah, I think so. But I mean, what I do is primarily the buy and hold strategy. So I buy houses and just, again, based on what that guy was telling me originally when I first talked to, it's always, I believe in especially in the markets like this, which is, I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. So the market over here it's an appreciating market. And so over time, prices too tend to go up. And so if you buy something today and hold it for a while, real estate in this market anyway is very sort of forgiving. And the issue has always been, how do you get both appreciation and cash flow? That's always been the sort of challenge in markets like this. But real estate is great if you can get yourself in the door, and depending on what niche you want to focus on, it works. And and hopefully I'll share with you, how it works for me.
Yeah, so let's dive in that. So it sounds like you've been a buy and hold guy the whole time. Did you ever scroll and try to go do other things, or were you just mainly doing that? And then were you working a full-time job when you were starting and going? And then let's dive into, I know Kevin really told me that you do a really good job getting cash flow in that market, which is, if you're in a San Francisco, a Seattle, LA, certain markets that are high price point like DC, people are always like, well, we can get appreciation, but we never get cash flow. But you found a way to get cash flow in a high price point market.
Yeah, I mean, so I've done both buy and hold, and obviously I've done some fix and flips. Fix and flips are fine, but I've just found that after the dust settles, the money is, after you pay taxes and everything, it's okay. It's nothing, it's okay. It can generate some cash, which is good. And but the thing is that the problem is that a lot of fix and flippers, if you talk to them 5, 10, 15 years from now and say, okay, so you've done all this, what do you have to show? And what's the bottom line? And many times, there's not a whole lot to show because, you get the money in, you spend the money, and so on. So the advantage of obviously holding something is that you've got something tangible that you can show, you can leverage, you can really truly realize the power of real estate, both in terms of cash flow, appreciation, leverage, and tax benefits and so forth. So I mean, I started the BRRRR before the BRRRR was even invented.
You invented it.
Well, I didn't invest it. I was just buying a house, spending some money on the rehab, and then refinancing it. I didn't know what it was called. I mean,
we'll call Brandon and tell him, hey, this is Dr. Joe. He was doing it way before you were born, Brandon.
Exactly, I was doing it before he was born. But essentially, in this market, it's always expensive. I mean, it was. I bought my first. Well, no, I didn't. I mean, I bought my first house. It's like $47K in Washington. At that time, people were saying I was spending too much. I was getting duped. It was too expensive. You fast forward, a few years from now, it's now worth 100. A few years ago, it's now 200, 300. Now it's 700,000. So it's always expensive in these sort of price markets. So the issue is, how do you get both cash flow and appreciation since you're paying so much? That's always the eternal challenge. At least for me anyway, I kind of bumped into this whole Section 8 business model. I think a lot of people have stereotypes of Section 8, to crappy houses, crappy tenants.
Scared, bad tenants, they trash your place, they're terrible.
Exactly, all that stuff, crack houses, and the whole 9 yards. I mean, that's the sort of the stereotype. And but what I realized, and I kind of bumped into this by accident, was that there's a lot of good families in that program, which at the end of the day, they're no different than you and I. They don't want to get shot at no more than you want to get shot at. They want to live in a safe place just like you. They got kids, so they want to be in a decent school district, close to amenities. I mean, they want the same thing as you and I. The only difference is that they don't have any money, and so on. And so, but deep down, when you talk to them, you spend time with them, you realize that they have the same aspirations as everybody else. They're tired of living with crappy landlords, slumlords. They're tired of living in crappy neighborhoods, and so on. So what I realized was that if you can have a product that meets that, I call them tier one, Nordstrom, top of the line voucher holders. Okay, because not all voucher holders are the same. Okay, it's like again, going back to marketing, you segment the pie into different pieces. So some people like to shop at Nordstrom. Some people like to shop at Dollar General. Some people like to shop. I mean, they're not all people buy shoes at the same place. So likewise, not all voucher holders are the same. You get some Nordstrom type voucher holders. You got Macy's. You got Dollar General type voucher holders in terms of just how they take care of their houses, how they pay their rent, how they're pleasant to deal with. You can kind of break it down. And what I realized was that for the there's a group of what I call tier one voucher holders who really want to live in a nice house in a nice area and rent from a good landlord. And if you can have a product that meets their needs, they reward you 4 ways. They pay their rent, they're pleasant to deal with, they stay a long time, and they take care of your home. And if you're in the market, which is appreciation, that's what you want from a tenant. You want a tenant that pays the rent, takes care of the place, pleasant to deal with, and stay a long time. And
let me ask you a question real quick though. Okay, but and I want to kind of unpack this in a different kind of light too, not just about the Section 8, but you're talking tier one. And so I have 2 questions. Do the landlords need to get better, or do the tenants need to get better, or both? And then second, if you're on Section 8 government housing, and you're talking about renting a Nordstrom's type of person, well, wouldn't our capitalist society say, oh, they shouldn't be living there with the Section 8 vouchers? And whether it's, I'm not saying political one way or another, I'm just asking as a thought process, really.
Yeah, I mean, the HUD program is based on income. Okay, so they don't have the income. That's how you qualify. It's just like, Social Security, whatever it is. I mean, there are veterans programs, VA programs. There are lots of these government programs that provide housing assistance. And the Section 8 program is the largest one. But it's primarily based on the income of the person and the family size. So, I mean, that's how it's structured. But the thing is that in terms of the payments to the landlord, it's based on 2 things. It's based on the zip code or the neighborhood where the house is, and also the number of bedrooms in the house itself. It's based on those 2 criteria. So the point is that in a place like Washington, D.C., or where you are, or where a lot of your viewers are from, how can you make the place cash flow? That's the issue. How can you buy a house for 4, 5, 6, 700,000 and still get cash flow? How is that possible? And so if you understand that it's based on the zip code or the neighborhood where the house is and the number of bedrooms. Let's say I buy a house. We buy a house. It's a 3-bedroom home. Okay. If you don't do anything and keep it as a 3-bedroom, you'll get 1 set of rents. If you are able to make it into a 4-bedroom by being creative and especially if it has a basement, you'll get a higher rent.
Gotcha.
Follow me?
Yep.
If you've got the same house, you make it into a 5-bedroom, you get even higher rent from that. So the same house can command 3 different rents.
Gotcha.
Just based on the fact that you've got the number of bedrooms.
Gotcha.
Okay. And the issue now becomes, how can you, Elliot, how can the viewers here create these bedrooms such that you can get higher rent so you can possibly cash flow?
Gotcha.
And that's what I realized was that, 3 different people could buy the same asset but get 3 different cash flows. And as a 3-bedroom, I'm negative cash flow. As a 4-bedroom, I'm probably break even. And as a 5-bedroom, I'm probably going to go into positive cash flow. And as long as the house is in a decent area where you can attract the kind of family that is not going to tear up your place. That's going to take care of the, pay the rent, pleasant to deal with, and stay a long time. And
does the HUD then break it down by like median rent in that zip code? So
Mm-hmm.
then you get median rent per bedrooms, and then if you go to a higher bedroom, that's where they can say, okay, you get more rent per more bedrooms, and so they're kind of consolidating. Hey, instead of paying these families to live in 2 separate spots or whatever it is, right? We can put all 5 people, 5 bedrooms, and we get higher rent.
No, it's based on the family size.
Gotcha.
So if you got a family of 3, you may qualify for, I don't know, whatever bedroom. If you got a family of 4, you qualify for.
It's based on family size.
It's based on the family size, as opposed to the family size, and then also the income that's coming into the home. So that's how they determine in terms of the rent that they will pay, and the voucher size that the family has.
Gotcha.
And so it's but from a business standpoint, okay. And if we're in the buy and hold space, I say to you, this is my position anyway, is that you cannot make any money, okay, as a buy and hold landlord, especially if you're doing single families, if you can't figure a way to have minimal turnover. Yeah. Okay. That revolving door, yep, where they stay for a year or 2, then they're gone, you got to paint again, you got to clean again, and so forth. If you have that revolving door, you don't make any money because the cash flow that you make gets wiped out whenever there's a tenant turnover. Mm-hmm. And I realized that. So I said, how can I have people who will love my place and will want to stay a long time? Okay, so I don't have that revolving door. And that's what I was saying to you is that, I didn't want to buy in bad areas.
Yep.
Where the typical Section 8 landlord tends to buy, the low end part of town and high crime part of it. I didn't want to buy there because the families that go there at some point will want to leave. Yeah. Because they want to live there. So if I buy in the better area where it's attractive and amenable, then if you can attract a family there, they're more likely to stay a long time because they don't want to go back to the bad area.
Yeah. There's no other place they can go up. If you're moving up. Yeah.
Yeah. People don't want to go down. They usually want to go up. Yeah. And since there are a few landlords who are buying in the better areas, the choices for these families is very few. I.e., my competition is very weak. I'm not competing with most other people, and I tend to have better quality houses. So the house that I just left today, we spent $225,000 on the rehab. Jeez. We got granite countertops and stainless steel and all that kind of stuff. It's a beautiful home. It's the kind of place I would like to live there myself. Yeah. And so on. So when you have that kind of product, you can attract the better quality family, and they know that this is a dream come true for them if they were able to get it. And what happens is that I get like 5, 10, 15, 20 applications because it's an anomaly. Yeah. And so on. So you can therefore have your screening policy so high that you can select the creme de la creme.
How do you screen though? Because I know they're starting to, especially in Washington State, they're starting to change some rules on screening and like first serve. If they hit your requirements, you got to let them in. There's a lot of they don't want, you can't check certain credit report. They're trying to pass all these things where you can't check anything about who the person is. How do you handle that screening process, especially as a Section 8, landlord? I mean, that's
sure. Okay, so the discussion is this. Here, I'm telling a story here. We all want the same tenant. I want the same tenant. Okay, we want the tenant that pays the rent on time, is going to take care of your house, pleasant to deal with, and stay a long time. So we're in competition, you and I. Okay, yeah. We got houses in. Let's say Kevin is a tenant. Okay. Okay, and tenant from hell, right? Yeah. Let's say Kevin is a creme de la creme tenant, okay? And he has choices, okay, in terms of where he lives. So now the competition is between Elliot and I to attract Kevin because he's an A1 type tenant. You follow me?
Okay. Yep.
Okay, so the first thing is that if I have a house in a decent area where Kevin wants to live or would like to live, and you have a house in a bad area, you don't stand a chance of attracting Kevin. Yep. Okay. So the neighborhood is number one. Then the second thing is if I fixed up my house in such a way that it's really nice, and you just say, well, it's a Section 8, it's a Kevin Section 8, he's going to trash my house anyway, so what's the point in putting nice stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Then when Kevin sees my house and sees your house, he's going to gravitate towards my house because it's a better quality home.
Yeah.
Follow me so far?
Yep.
So the product and the neighborhood it's first of all, it's the neighborhood. If I had a beautiful house in a crappy neighborhood, I wouldn't attract Kevin regardless of what I did to my house. Okay, he don't want to live there regardless. So assuming that we have both houses in the same quality area he wants to live, now it's the product, the house. Okay, so I'm standing out. I'm sort of differentiating myself from you by having a better quality product. Okay, so now the next thing is, how do I screen out to make sure Kevin is in fact who he says he is?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I do anyway, my screens on 4 levels. First of all, I contact the current landlord and previous landlords. Very thorough discussions to find out more about rental history of Kevin. The reason why I call the previous landlord, and first of all, I want to make sure that the landlord that Kevin says he is in fact the owner. So, well, first of all, you want to make sure that Kevin is in fact who he says he is. So you make sure you get his ID. To make sure that Kevin.
Have you got fake IDs before? Have you got?
Oh my God! Yeah. I mean, we have professional tenants. I mean, I could tell you stories about. I mean, people come in and you don't know who they are.
Yeah.
They come in, they show up, they fill an application. You don't know them from Adam. Okay, so so I've had people impersonating other people. They say I'm Elliot. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
They've, so they cut a deal and said, my landlord is Jeff. Okay. And Jeff is, in fact, is their buddy. Yeah. And so you also obviously for the ID to make sure that, Kevin is, in fact, Kevin. You check the public record before you call Jeff to make sure he actually owns the house. He's not just a buddy of his. So lots of things that you can do beforehand as part of the screening process to make sure you kind of weed out what I call the professional tenants. The current landlord, you don't know, he or she may have a hidden agenda. They may say, "Oh, Kevin's great. Oh, he's fantastic. He's so good. I'll get a U-Haul truck tonight and take it. And move about. He's that good. You have those. Some people want to get rid of their tenants, so they'll say great things just to move them on. The previous landlord obviously can tell you the real deal, so that's one thing. So it's the current previous landlord. I'm not too, the 2 big ones for me anyway are the landlord references, and also I always go to the people's homes to see how they keep their home. The reason why I do that is because I found is that how Kevin keeps his home today is how my house will be in 3 months. Did
you actually go walk around their home? You tell them, hey, I need to go see where you live now?
Oh no, we also call it, it's part of the application. I have a policy. It said as part of the screening process, we're going to check your credit. We're going to do background searches. We're going to call your current landlords. We're also going to make a visit to your home. I mean, it's on the application. So, and the reason why I can do that, again, this is important. The reason why I can do that, is because I have a product that they really, really want. Okay. It's something which is unique. They don't see this every day.
So they'll do anything. They'll, you want to, whatever you want to do, you can come do it.
Because they want this. If I had a crappy house in a crappy area, they're gonna say, "Screw you." Nobody else comes to my home. Who the hell are you? But if you got something that's in high demand but low supply, okay, and you're dealing with a client base who's not intimidated by that. You want to call my landlord? Fine, call him. He'll give me 10 out of 10. He'll tell you I'm a perfect tenant. You want to come to my house? Let's go. Let's go now. I don't need to clean it up. I keep my house just like this. That's the caliber of people you're dealing with. And so you can attract that group of people. And when you attract them, they're perfect. It's low maintenance, low drama, and they stay a long time.
Well, because they're still on Section 8, they probably don't have enough money to buy a house in that type of market. Right? No,
they're not going to buy a house. They don't have the income to buy. Because in this area, like here, is medium houses $700,000 or $600,000. They're not going to buy one. So,
or if they did, they'd have to go to the bad side of town and buy a bad house in a bad neighborhood. So why would they change, right?
Or, if they had that kind of income, they wouldn't be on the program.
Exactly.
So
yeah, exactly.
So what's it called? So it's more of a pride of rentership, if anything. They're accepting the fact that they'll never own something, but they have pride in where they live, and they want to take care of it. And you can make money, but also you can do good. You're making a difference in people's lives. I just last month, I went to one of my families, tenants anyway, call them families. We just having a discussion, just having a quick, and she was saying, look, if I wasn't my kids, they got 4.0 GPA. One of them's got a full ride to go to college, and she was just saying that there's just no way that would have happened if I weren't living in this house in this area. No way, because it's a quality area, better schools. And so you're making a generational impact on a lot of people's lives, which, you can leave a legacy. You can do good and make money as well. That's what I love about this.
How many rentals do you have currently?
We have 31 now.
31, nice. Let me ask you this question.
These are all single families. These are I don't have apartment buildings. They're all single families.
And this is what I was talking about you before the show about the park bench. Let me ask you this question. Have you seen, because I think what I'm hearing from you say is people tend to have stereotype this world, right? Everybody's put in boxes, right? And so Section 8 is put in this box of they're not, they're low income, it's crime, it's bad areas. Yeah. Have you seen any of your tenants rise and get out of that and say, I don't have to have Section 8 anymore because they've done it because of the opportunity that you've had them? Or have you been able to have conversations with people, like with your families, and say, hey, I think I can help you here. This is give feedback. I talk to my tenants all the time about, hey, how can I help you in certain ways? Get your goals.
Yeah. You graduate out of the program. Yeah. When your income reaches a certain point, then you can transition out. So you don't have to be stuck in Section 8 forever. Some people do, but you don't have to. And and several of my tenants, have bought houses. They moved on. So as I'm saying, this kid is 2 of the kids are going to college. That's that cycle hopefully will be broken. And so on. So it is what it is. My thing is that as investors, and this is just me as a personal thing, we can make money, okay, but also we can do good. We can make an impact in people's lives. We can say, it brings me joy. When you go to these people's homes, these families' homes, as part of the screening process, I always record it when I tell them the news they got the house. Just the reaction on their faces, at last, I don't have to worry about my kids, in a bad area. At last, I can move to a better area where, we got better. At last, because for the most part, a lot of people have written them off. But they're good but at last they've been given a chance. Someone's going to give them a chance, and now that it's up to them to run with it, and that's all they're looking for, is the opportunity to run with it, and that's what you can do. But also you can make money as well.
Because let's break down the money. So the house let's use that deal that you talked about that you were at today. You're in at $225,000. You would live there. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
And how the numbers break down.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that one, let me just I don't really share. Getting the screening is part 1.
Okay.
Part 2 is they have to stay a long time without no turnover.
Gotcha.
You follow me?
Yeah.
Okay. So what's it called? And that's where I think I try to differentiate myself as well from the other landlord. Every Mother's Day, all my tenants get bouquets of flowers. Every Christmas, all my families get a Christmas present.
What do you get them?
Kids, we get like a box of cookies, thing. This year we gave them all air fryers.
Air fryers?
Yeah, $60. It's just it's the if the kids get all A's at school and show me their report card, we give them $50.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's That's
And
amazing.
listen to this one. We have a timeshare a couple of hours from here, and where we can invite guests for 3 days, 2 nights. All my tenants get free vacations. Now the question is this. If something goes wrong with the house, I fix it.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a nice house, nice area, great landlord, the best landlord out there. Okay. And why would they want to leave?
Yeah.
Especially if the competition is a crappy landlord in a crappy area, the crappy house.
Yeah. If the competition is Elliot, right? I don't know how I got put in this, like, I'm the shitty landlord. My wife manages all the rentals, not me.
Well, you know what I'm saying? It's that, you know, at the end of the day, there's competition out there.
Yeah.
And as business people, we want to differentiate ourselves from the competition. Okay. Otherwise, it becomes a race to the bottom. I mean, otherwise you become a commodity. So what I want to do is to have a great product, but also attract the great tenants who are forever thankful and grateful that I gave them a chance. And I take care of them in terms of being a great landlord, that I really don't give them any reason to leave. And so that's how I sort of reduce the turnover, is by having it being a great landlord. It's business, you know. You know who you take the time to understand who your customer is, okay? Understand their needs, okay? You have a product and a service that hits their needs head on, and it's cheaper to keep an existing customer happy than it is to go find a new one.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's cheaper to keep my existing customer tenants happy so they stay with me, rather than they leave and have a turnover and I have to go through all that expense. So it's really just applying business concepts to real estate in such a way that it makes sense. And to me, I don't understand why more investors don't think that way. Okay. Applying business principles, understand who your customer is, what are their needs, who are these people, what do they want, how can I differentiate myself from other investors who are in this space? How can I make sure that my customer stays with me as opposed to going somewhere else? How can we do that? How can I put systems in place? How can I have a product such that hopefully it becomes something which is sustainable and something which becomes more residual, as opposed to, you know, all this hard work?
It's funny, while you're talking, I'm thinking, because I give guys gifts all the time, like guys in the industry that I want to network with more. I want to build relationships. I go to my title companies and give them gifts on Christmas and holidays, because I want to be able to walk in whenever I want to, and somebody will sign me. I want to, you know, have them jump. But I haven't thought about it and from that tenant side of it. And so, because we do take care of like our tenants, like we're good landlords in a sense where, you know, we're very easy to work with. We always jump on things and fix it when we have it. I have, you know, phone calls with some of our tenants and talk to them, but I've never thought about it in that sense. I think that's, you know, I'm just thinking back to one of our really good tenants, and they had a baby a year ago, and I'm like, man, should we got him, you know, I'm like, we could have got him a baby present or this or that, and I'm just thinking out loud of like it and the impact, because I think people forget there's so much good in this world. You know, if they listen to the news every day, there's so much bad, but there's so much good. And people rising up, and so the opportunities you're doing is pretty inspiring, actually.
But here's this. I mean, if I do a single family, so a single family house, every turnover is going to cost you a couple of months lost income. Okay, you know, you got to paint the place after all is said and done. In terms of cost, your time, your cost, materials, labor, repairs, you know, no income for a month. If you add it all up, it comes up to a couple of months. Let's just say, okay. Yep. So let's just say that, I mean, what's the median rent where you are for a house?
1,500, 1,800, somewhere in there.
Okay, so let's say $1,500. Okay, yeah. So that vacancy turnover is going to cost you a minimum $3,000.
Plus,
okay, after all is said and done.
Yeah.
Okay. A bouquet of flowers, $30. $50 gift certificate is $50. Air fryer, $60. Free vacation is free. Okay, so all of that stuff comes up to, let's say, less than $150. The goodwill it engenders in the tenant, because at the end of the day, the tenant is your customer. The tenant is bringing you revenue. Okay, if you take care of that customer, you avoid spending $3,000. Okay, on that turnover. So to me, it makes sense to invest a couple of $100 to save 3,000. Okay. I realize that I've got to make sure that my tenants are happy.
Yeah.
Because if they're happy, they stay. So if your tenant has a baby, what's wrong with just, having a little thank you gift to, hey, welcome, whatever gift it shows to them that Elliot's a good guy. Elliot's thinking about me. I'm not just a rent check. I'm actually a human being. He really, appreciates who I am, for who I am, that kind of stuff. So I come in from that perspective, because at the end of the day, your tenants at the end of the day are human beings.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you see them as human beings, you treat them as human beings. And for the most part, if you screen well, they'll reciprocate.
Now, do you ever have it go where you come off too easy and then they feel like maybe they can't pay their portion of the rent and they can like take advantage of your kindness, or how does that, because you got to have people's buy-in just with an employee or whatever, you got to have their buy-in, but you can't, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's business. I mean, if they don't pay the rent, you give them a notice and you have to evict, you got to evict, and I mean, it's still a business. I mean, I'm not that
what I'm
friend.
saying, do your tenants ever mistake your generosity and your give a shit for weakness in a sense and trying to work you, or are they pretty?
No, again, don't forget, I'm dealing with a top tier person who they know that the alternative to my house is going back. Okay. So they're not gonna be going out to screw me. Okay. Because at the end of the day, who's gonna lose out of this? And they are probably more than I am. I mean, I'll get another tenant. They're probably not gonna find another landlord with something like this again. So you have a different type of people you're dealing with. They appreciate the opportunity you're giving them. You've taken a chance on them. Okay. So it's a different mindset. If that makes sense.
Yep.
It's like if let's say you're a new investor, and you and a mentor helps you. Okay, it's giving you opportunities, sharing with you, relationships and things like that. You're not going to be trying to screw that mentor. You're not.
Yeah.
It's not in your interest. You don't have that mindset. He's helping you.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna, you know what I'm saying?
100%.
It's not your traditional tenant who's trying to just get over on you. Because I'm not renting to that crowd. I screen that crowd out.
Gotcha.
I'm going for the creme de la creme, the tier one and things like that. So that's, so it's all kind of related. Once the tenant is in your house, you got to treat them well, treasure them, and then it becomes sustainable. So my longest tenant, believe it or not, is 24 years. I have 15-year tenants. I have 12-year tenants. I have 10-year. I mean, they stay a long time.
Yeah.
And therefore, I don't have those turnover costs that other landlords will have.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right.
Okay. Let's go to the numbers.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So I went to a house. Okay. I've got 2 projects going on in Washington, D.C. right now. I'll tell you about the one that the tenants moved in there March the 1st.
Okay.
Okay. So that one I bought, let's have a look.
They're moving in this March 1st?
Yeah, in 2 weeks. Perfect. Okay. So we're going through. So I bought that thing for $448.
Where do you find it?
That one, I had a couple of houses. I got a couple of houses on that block. So the owner of that house, they searched me out and they contacted me and said, do I want to buy their house? It was a kind of unlisted property. It wasn't, it was an off-market deal. Other houses I get from either wholesalers or sometimes I get listed properties. But this one was a, what's it called? It's an off-market where the owner found me, which is very rare.
Yeah.
So they were approached. Yeah. So it is what it is anyway. So I bought it for $448. Let's just say $450. Okay. Which it's not a big deal. This house, it's a row house. Okay. So you got neighbors on both sides, like a townhouse.
No yard. Do they have yards?
Little front yard, a little backyard. Not, it's small. The house is about 1,800 square feet.
Okay.
So it's not big. At all. Okay. 3 levels. First level, second level, and the basement. Okay.
All right. I'm writing numbers down while we're doing this. I want to see how this breaks down.
Okay, that's fine. So $450. Okay, it's the acquisition. Okay. And I thought I was going to spend 175, but it turned out to be it's really about 210. But let's just say 200K, just to keep it round numbers.
Okay, so we're 650.
Okay.
And did you buy this using your own cash, or did you buy it with like hard money, private money, or?
Yeah, this one I got a relationship with a local commercial bank, so they got 80. I think that was 75% loan to value for the acquisition and renovation. So there's a delta of 25%, and I then got private investors, people that know me, trust me, and they borrowed me the delta, and I use also my own money. So that, let's just say 75% of the acquisition renovation is funded by the commercial bank, and then I had private investors, let's say for 10%, and I put in 15%. I put in the other 10%.
Okay,
that makes sense.
Yep.
So that's how we are for that house. So I'm in it for around, what did I say, 650. The rehab itself took about 4.5 months.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, it's a major renovation. Originally it was a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. We turned it into a 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath.
1,800 square feet.
Yep. I got videos and photographs you want to see it.
Are they we'll put them on. Are they small bedrooms, or are they decent size,
I mean, it's got a master suite with its own private bathroom. It's got upstairs it's got 3 bedrooms. The master bedroom's got its own private bathroom. It's got 2 bedrooms in there. One's the average size, one's a little bit smaller. And that's on the 2nd floor. On the 1st floor, you got living room, dining room, kitchen, powder room. And then in the basement, you have 2 bedrooms and a bathroom and the utility room and things like that. So it's a typical row house in the Washington, D.C. area. Obviously, if you're in the suburbs, you'll think, 1,800 square feet, 5 bedrooms. Whoa, no way. But in the city, you have, spaces a little bit more, hard to get. Anyway, so exit strategy is a portfolio rental. I'm keeping it as a buy and hold. I'm not selling it. So the next thing is, once the house is done, is to refinance. Okay. And in this neighborhood, in fact, I just had the appraisal today, just before I came here. The appraiser went over there, and it's probably going to be repriced around $775,000.
Okay, so right there you got 125, let's say, equity roughly. I mean, you got selling costs and things like that. For easy numbers, let's just say 125. Okay.
Yeah, let's say so 775 is the ARV. Okay, and I go to a local commercial bank here. They love what I do. It's in sync with their mission, and so, which is very unusual. I'm able to get 85% loan to value.
Okay.
On a commercial bank, which is this is the portfolio bank, and so it's a 7-year amortized over 25-year amortization, but it's a 7-year reset.
It's commercial product.
Yeah, typical commercial product. Yeah, so I'm buying.
Why aren't you going to a 30-year am? They won't do it.
I'm buying these properties in my entities.
Okay.
As opposed to my personal.
And they won't do
name.
30 because I'm getting commercial loans at 30 on 30-year ams.
I haven't seen that too often. They're usually amortized over 25 years. They're usually out of 5-year. Sometimes they do 7. Sometimes they do 10. But I haven't.
Ask them, because I had one first bank when we first bought ours. They were like 20. One property, they're like 25-year, and we did that. And then I went and started shopping, and I got some on an 8-unit we bought. We got a 30-year am, and then we're tied up in a 24-year, and they're going 30. That one's gonna go Freddie. We're gonna go Freddie with that one though. So
okay.
So it's different though, because they're not gonna go. Freddie's not gonna do single family.
But what LTV will they go up to though?
75%.
Well, this one will go
80% too. So
yeah. Well, because around here most of the commercial banks usually go to about 70 or 75%. Very rare do they go higher. But this particular bank, the reason why I like them is that they go a little higher, 85%. But their rates are great. And so for a commercial bank anyway. So it looks like the last one we did is probably going around 3 point. I think it's going around 3.7, which is not bad for a commercial bank.
That's fantastic. No, that's good.
So it's going to be 3.7 interest rate, amortized over 25 years, 7-year reset. Okay.
Yeah.
And so that comes up to around 33 something.
I'm figuring it out right now. I love this. This is my favorite. I love doing numbers, and so
okay, let's do the numbers, man.
Yeah, let's do it. I just want to get people to really dive into this and how this works. And so
sure, yeah, let's
85. So you're 685. Let's say 685. And let's just say you're right here. You're at 3.7%, 3.7, and we're gonna go 25. So $3,500.
Yeah. So we're at $3,500. Okay, let's just pull that down.
Taxes, insurance.
Tax insurance. Let's just add another $750.
Okay, so we're up to $4,250.
Yep. And so PITI is 42. Was it? What do you say? 42.
4,250.
4,250. Okay. And because I spent so much on the rehab, your capex is pretty low.
Yep. Because you did all the plumbing, wiring, everything.
Yeah, everything's new appliances, new plumbing, electrical, HVAC, everything's new. So you don't really have to set aside a lot of money. If I didn't do all that, then obviously you'll have to set aside quite a bit for maintenance and so on. So the other thing I do is I have a home warranty. Okay. So that's $600 a year, and but the rent, the drum roll,
yeah.
$5,462.
$62. So let's just say call it 50. So you're making $1,200 on that.
Yeah.
A month, a door. That's pretty freaking good at 85% LTV. All your cash, because you're basically getting all your cash back for the most part. You are getting all your cash back, plus paying your investors back. So you're in this thing, no money down, basically, no money, and you're $1,200 a month.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it works. And the thing is that you're in a neighborhood which is gentrifying, which means that give it 5, 10, 15 years from now.
Yeah, so your IRR looks fantastic. So you're getting, your cash on cash return is really good, but you're 1,200, you're 24,000, what is that? Yeah, it's 15,000. That's probably a year in rent. And then you're probably appreciating it even at 3% clip would probably be on the low end. I mean, you're
higher than that. Yeah.
Yeah. So even if you're at 5% clip on 775, you're still, and that's really what you guys got to look at Dealz. And, when you look at this, there's a lot more to it sometimes. So let's just say times 0.5%. Actually, we'll do 100% times 7.105. So you're at 810. So you're making another $40,000 a year in, appreciation if you're at 5%, roughly, if my numbers are right. So, I mean, that's pretty good. I mean, so that return is fantastic.
Now, here's a kicker. We're kind of in the COVID-19 environment.
Yeah.
Okay. Rent moratoriums, rent strikes.
Yeah.
It's impossible to get rid of your tenants if they don't want to pay you.
Yeah.
And so a lot of landlords are hurting right now. If you got a tenant that doesn't want to pay, there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
Yeah.
The thing is with the Section 8 is that rent, I mean, that rent is guaranteed. Every month is coming. I mean, let's say the tenant's portion maybe, I don't know, let's say $600. Okay, out of that 5,400, 5,462. So the 48 or whatever it is, what's 5,460? Because I haven't, the tenant, we haven't got the actual rent that the tenant. I'll know that probably at the end of this month.
But roughly, what do they pay? What do they normally pay out of that?
It varies. It's all based on their income, so it varies anywhere from 6, 5, 4. Some pay $300. It just depends. Some pay 1,000. Some pay 1,500. It just depends on their income.
Okay.
So if we want to just so let's just keep it simple. Okay. Let's just say that the rent is what I say it's 5,460.
You're $5,450.
Okay, so let's say 5,450, and let's say the tenant's portion is $450. Okay, based on their income. $5,000 every month is hitting your account, regardless, come what may. It doesn't matter if they lose their job, COVID, no COVID, moratorium, no. That money from that contracted rent from HUD, the Housing Authority, is guaranteed. As long as that tenant's in your home, that portion is coming in. So, and I've been doing this for 30 years, Elliot, and I've been through 4 cycles, real estate cycles. I know how these cycles play out. You don't want to be the guy standing up when the music stops. You don't want to be having tenants, great tenants who lose their jobs. You know, they're great people, but they don't have a job now.
Yeah.
You know, what do you do now? You don't want to be in that position. And what I realized is that you want consistency of rent.
Yep.
Okay. Reliable, consistent, you know, you can bank on, you can plan on. Okay. Yep. And that's what you get from these government assistance programs like the Section 8 and things like that. It's that you're providing a service, you're providing housing. It's not, you know, but also it's a very reliable income stream. And especially if you have a product which the tenant really, really is thankful for, because they're going to stay there. Yeah. And so I know that, you know, five years from now, that tenant's probably still going to be there. 10 years from now, it's probably a pretty good chance, and so forth. So you can now start planning, and you know, you can start thinking about, okay, then maybe I can realize the true benefits of real estate. This IRR that you're talking about, you know,
which I don't know how to do. I just heard that number thrown around. I know there's something to it with appreciation and all that stuff, but I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so
yeah, or the cash on cash return. I mean, you can now realize the true benefits of real estate.
Yeah.
Okay. The power of real estate. You can buy an asset and wait 5-10 years, and it's going to appreciate in value. You have a tenant who's going to take care of it. You're going to have a tenant who's going to pay you because they're thankful that Elliot gave them a chance. You got a tenant who doesn't want to go back, so they're going to take care of the home.
Yeah.
You know, you got all those things working for you. And that's how you can have multiple homes, because it's very low maintenance.
Yeah, so you can weather the cycle, right?
You can weather it.
So like, who cares if the values drop 50%? I'm still getting $5,450 from Section 8, you know, or whatever.
It
doesn't matter. So then
you know,
there's going to be cycles, right? But there's going to be bust and boom and bust and boom. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And, you know, so once you sort of, you know, I understand people don't, you know, some people may not just from a concept, they just don't agree with the whole idea of Section 8. I get that. But, you know, from a business standpoint, okay, we as investors, we're looking to realize the power of real estate. We want an asset that's going to appreciate in value. We want an asset that's going to generate cash flow. We want an asset that's going to build a legacy for our family. We want this thing to be low maintenance, whereby we don't be bothered every other day by a tenant calling you all the time. We want the tenant to be really, really happy and thankful that Elliot gave him a chance. That's what we want, I think, from anybody, any tenant.
And tax benefits, because you got all the benefits in the world.
All that stuff.
Does Section 8, so say you're at 5450 right now, how do you do rent increases with the Section 8? How does that work? If they're staying there for 15, 20 years, obviously it doesn't stay at the same price, right?
Yeah, so you can request rent increases once a year. And as you know, generally, you know, as long as the rent increase is within a certain range, fair market rent they call it, FMR, then it should get approved. Now, sometimes they have a moratorium on rent increase where they're not improving any rent increase, but you can request a rent increase from the housing authority on a yearly basis. So the contract with Section 8 is what we call a HAP contract. That contract is for 1 year, and then it reverts to month thereafter. Okay. So depending on your local area, I mean, you still have to abide by the local landlord tenant laws.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, if the tenant doesn't pay you, then you go by whatever the local landlord tenant laws are, and so forth. I mean, once you understand it, it's
seems pretty good.
It's pretty good, Elliot. I'm telling you, I've been through this.
Yeah.
4 times. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, if you haven't been through it, this may not resonate with you, but you speak to some of these old timers, and you know, especially if they're in a good market, you know, they'll tell you that the best thing I ever did was to buy this house when I bought it. And the best thing I ever did was to keep it.
Yeah.
Okay. And the best thing, what I should have done, I should have bought more of them.
Yeah, that's funny. I tell people all the time, the biggest mistake we've ever made in real estate was selling and wholesaling all those deals that we did back 5 years ago or whatever, 6 years ago, because everybody's like, oh, the market's going to correct. The market's going to correct. And I love it. Everybody's like, I'm keeping my cash dry so when the market dips next time, instead of just buy it. If it works today, just friggin' buy it. And man, so Christy and I really kicked it into high gear last year. and we added 2 duplexes, a single family, a 24 unit, and an 8 unit. I'm tied up right now in another 24 unit, and we're building a 13 unit. So we went from flipping 20, 30 houses a year to like
fantastic.
But there was the one house where it really was a catalyst change for us. Is we had one house, we bought it for $100,000, and it only took like 10 grand worth of work. And Chris is like, we need to keep this as a rental. It's like, I'm like, no, because we can sell it and make like 50. And I'm like, and she's like, no, let's just keep this one, because I got a private lender to lend 6% interest only for a 7-year term, 3-year minimum. So it's $500 a month to them. We're in at $600, and it rented for like $1,150. And that's a good deal, and we have equity. And so I'm so glad that we kept it, because we just refied it with that 3 years later with that lady out. It's at $1,250 a month right now. Same tenant's been in there the entire time, and she's a great tenant. It's probably worth $250 now.
Wow.
And we still only owe $100,000, because it was interest only, but we cash flow really well. And now when we're refining with today's rates, we're still cash flowing really well. And we have all this equity, and our net worth is actually growing based on those deals. But we needed the money though to start though. The reason we flipped everything is we needed to build money, and we needed to build a track record, because we didn't quit our jobs, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. But what I did with the same scenario that you went through is I got a home equity line, and tap into that equity, because the equity is dead. It looks good on a piece of paper, but it's not really doing anything for you. So you tap into that equity, the equity that's in the house, and I've got home equities on several of my homes, and use the line of credit to buy more houses.
Yep.
So that one house is now acquiring more houses, so it's now working for you, and it's sort of the IRR really bumps up.
Now have you been able, because we have one of our rentals, because we refied all our singles and doubles, it was like 8 loans, and then. So, but one of them we pulled out because we only owe it's probably worth $230, and we only owe like 60. And we're like, well, we can just pay it off and go. Have you been able to put HELOCs on the rental properties?
Yeah. As
long as they're paid for. What do those rates and terms look like? Similar as the home equity? I mean, it's very similar.
Yeah. I mean, I've got. I didn't even check it. So because they're interest only.
It floats.
They float. Yeah. I don't know what they are right now, but
it's reasonable, right? So
it's very reasonable. Very reasonable.
Because the one thought that Christy and I have is, if we say we had 10 or 15 doors paid off, right, and we had them free and clear, and we cash flowed, we could live forever, right? We could be done right now and be fine. But say you had those paid off and you could live forever, but then you have debt equity. And so our singles and doubles are probably at like a 45% LTV where we're at. But it's the equity looks great, but I'm not tapping into it. And so it's trying to figure out the best way, because you don't want to over leverage, and you kind of want to have that plan B, right? This is plan B. The world goes to shit. I can live off my rentals. I can go work at 7-Eleven if I had to, but I don't need you. So that's really the question. So what's your thoughts on that? For selfish reasons, I'd love your opinion.
Sure. I mean, it depends what phase you are in terms of, when we all start, we're kind of at the bottom of the mountain.
Yeah.
And, it's survival mode, trying to get ourselves head above water, as time goes by, we're able to save some money, and then, buy a house, and then maybe, keep our expenses low, do a house hack, save some money, and then buy another house and thing. And at some point, you want to go into the growth mode. Yep. Which is, where you really want to accelerate this thing. Correct. You want to say, look, I want to fast track this financial independence. And therefore, the best way to do that is by scaling. Okay. Yep. And so on. And at some point, you'll reach a point whereby,
Well, we're kind of at that point. We can be done, but it just depends on what lifestyle you want. Do I want $20,000 or $10,000 a month, or do I want $40,000 a month?
Right.
There's a difference, right?
Right. So the point is that, what's it called? The point I was going to make. I was going to bring all the home. Oh, you lost my train of thought there.
Sorry, my wife yells at me all the time for doing that. I get excited. You're talking about growth mode. You're top of the mountain. You're talking about top of the mountain.
Yeah. So what's it called? So but during that growth phase. Yeah. Okay. A wise man once told me, Joe, look, if you want 1,000 houses, if you want $1,000, okay, you can buy 1,000 houses, earn $1 each, okay, cash flow, or you can buy one at 1,000, or you can buy two at 500, or whatever it is. So you in that growth phase, I think it's better to have more properties that are working for you than fewer properties that have a lot of equity, i.e. you pay them off, okay? So you want those assets to be working for you, okay? But once you reach a certain point, then you can kind of taper it down and so on. But when you're in that sort of growth mode, I don't know, you know, I'm of the opinion that you got to be tactful. You don't want to over leverage, but there's value in having those assets working for you.
Yeah.
As opposed to just looking good on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
And not really doing anything for you in reality. But you got to be disciplined, and you don't want to refinance or get a home equity line and get a new car and, you know, go on a world cruise.
Yeah, trust me. If you listen, I don't know if you listened to the show a couple weeks ago, but I bought a car out of my fund money account because I made money stock trading. And so, but we have no car payment. Yeah. So, you know, we live well below our means, and we've been in that grind growth mode. It's like, so it's just an interesting concept, because I think, guys, if you're, you know, when you're listening to this, there's different stages of this.
Yeah.
Really. And there's different, you know, but I think the one most important thing that you kind of said there is too, like, I'm guessing you probably live below your means, and you, instead of trying to go, oh, I'm making $1,000 a month, I'm gonna go spend it. You're like, how do I grow this into more $1,000 a month?
Exactly. That's the point. Yeah. Keep your expenses low. I mean, we were house hacking I've been married for 26 years. And we've been house hacking for you know, again, living below our means. We're buying big houses, but we, you know, may rent some space in the home. And, you know, we don't do that anymore. But I mean, there was a time whereby the focus was to acquire assets. We were in that growth phase. Okay. We wanted to live below our means, save the money, use that money to then buy more assets. And once you reach that certain point, then you can kind of scale down and, you know, and enjoy the benefits or the fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
And not have all those stresses. Because I mean, I was working in a corporate environment for many a year. I just decided I wanted to transition away from that.
When did you officially quit?
June the 6th, 2003.
2003?
Yeah. I've been full-time ever since then.
Good for you.
June 6th, 2000. That's when my salary, and I was working for a pretty large company. It's got three letters. The first letter begins with I.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell what the other two letters are.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to say B and M.
Well, you said that. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
And, but that's when my salary at that company equaled my rental properties. And that's when we're able to sort of transition away from the corporate environment.
Awesome. All right. So we kind of did a real deal segment already, because we kind of unpacked that one. I think we're going to keep that one you just unpacked for the real deal segment. I think, guys, that's kind of it. I mean, I wasn't trying to have that be it, but I think that's exactly what it is. And I know that's exactly how Kevin's told me your deals have gone. And I know he's trying to learn how to get there himself with him and his wife. So what are you doing? You know, you got all this free time because you have great tenants and you're doing some properties here and there. What are you doing? I know you help people here and there. I don't know if you're doing coaching, or how can our listeners help you or learn more about you and find out like more about this strategy?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to encourage more people to do what I do. You know, it's a great business. Mm-hmm. Once you break it down and you understand how it works. Okay. And I come in from a business standpoint. So I'm trying to encourage other investors, because you can make money, but also you can do good.
Yeah.
And which to me is the perfect scenario. And so I'm trying to encourage more people to replicate what I do. I mean, obviously I teach people what I do. You know, I'm going to be doing I'm going to call it the Section 8 playbook.
Yeah, this is a teachable course. Like something you just put on Teachable.
Yeah. We're gonna do one probably next month. I'm probably gonna do a virtual class, and then I'll put one on Teachable as well. That way, you know, because there are 3 components to Section 8. You know, it's called a housing choice voucher program. It's technically, officially, it's called the Housing Choice Voucher Program. Housing choice. Section 8's got too much stigma over it.
Yeah.
But it's a housing choice. In fact, I was nominated by our local housing authority to be a brand ambassador.
I think you're perfect. I think you fit a brand ambassador perfectly.
You know, on a national scale. You know, so I'm trying to encourage more people to understand it. Essentially, it's got 3 legs to this stool. Leg 1 is obviously the housing provider, the investor who provides the house. Okay, that's 1 leg. The second leg is the tenant, who lives in the home. But the third leg is the housing authority. They call it the PHA, Public Housing Authority. You know, so most investors, obviously, they know the house and they know how to rent. The mystery is this PHA, the Public Housing Authority, this bureaucracy. How do I navigate that minefield? How do I?
It's a minefield. It is hard.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's how do you navigate that one? How do you deal with inspections? How do you deal with caseworkers? How do you make that sort of that program work for you? You know, where should you buy? How much rent can you get? How do they determine the rent? What are all those things? Okay, that's the part which a lot of people are sort of don't understand. And so what I'm going to do is to try to break it down and say, if you want to do it this way, this is how you do it. Okay. And so we'll be doing that probably next, maybe I'll do a 4-part program, maybe sometime next month. Anyway, if people want to reach me, I'm on Instagram now. Handle is Dr. Joe Asamoah, Dr. Joe Asamoah. I started off 450 followers before the Bigger Pockets, what's it called, podcast about 1.5 years ago. I think I'm now at 11,200 now.
Nice. Well, we'll have to, maybe we can do a collab because I got, I just started doing more Instagram stuff and putting more content out there. And I got Brandon to shout me out, and it went from 7. I sent him a picture. I'm like, hey, I'm at 798. I just need 2 more. You think you make it? Ask a couple of your followers to follow me and get just 800. He shouts me out. I go to 3,000. You know, in 24 hours. It's amazing. Power of Brandon Turner.
Yeah, so we're at 11,000 something. So Instagram is probably a good way to follow me, and we're also on Facebook. You can always email me. info @joeasamoah.com. You can go to my website as well. My website is Joe Asamoah, Joe Asamoah, ASAMOAH.com, joeasamoah.com. If you're interested in anything to do with Section 8, if you're interested in anything in terms of how to attract quality tenants who stay for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you know, all that stuff. I mean, I've been through this. I'm not saying I'm the expert, but I know what I'm talking about. And, you know, having, you know, again, it's important to, if you haven't been through a cycle, and a lot of people haven't, myself. You can sometimes, you don't really know how good you are until you go through a cycle. You don't know how good your systems are until you go through a cycle, because the market can sometimes bail you out.
Yeah.
In a down market, the market doesn't bail you out. You really know if your thing is sustainable. So I've been through 4 of these things. So what I've shared with you today is the results of those experiences. You know, as investors, how do you make sure you get a reliable income stream when the market tanks, when everybody's losing their jobs? How do you survive if you got all these mortgages? You got 30, 24 houses. How do you survive when all your tenants, a lot of your tenants lose their jobs? Now what? Okay. How do you attract quality tenants when you have 20 other Kevins who are trying to, 20, Kevin's a tenant.
Elliot.
So there are 20 other Elliots trying to attract Kevin. How do you survive in that environment? Okay. Because I've been through that. You do stupid stuff like you got free toaster if you make an application. Yeah.
Well, I just read an article in New York City. The average giveaway to get people to move into their apartments is 2.5, basically equal to 2.5 months of rent.
Yes.
And the rents are still down 20%.
Yes. Yeah, I've been through all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, so you don't know how good your systems are until you really go through a downturn. And that's why I'm saying if you're a new investor, you really want to seek out people who've been through those experiences, because you learn.
Yeah.
You learn what works and what doesn't work. That, because experience counts for something.
Yeah,
you know, and so that's what I'm saying is that, you know, it's always good to seek out people who are a bit more experienced. Learn from, I'm not saying you should follow whatever they say,
No.
but you should hear what they say and apply it to your, you know, your world. So that way you don't make unnecessary mistakes.
Yep. So like that mentor I told you about, he bought in the 80s and 90s, was in property management. You know, he's been through all the cycles. My other business partner that I have, he's in his mid 50s and got 2 sons my age, and he's been buying at the auctions and doing fix and flips for 25 years. Those are the guys I try to surround myself with, because they know, they can see it. They know how to protect themselves. They know how to be careful. They know they've seen it, because a lot of these guys, I see so many guys out there, myself included, that I'm giving information in a lot of ways. And I don't ever claim to know or be an expert on like the cycles, because I didn't go through it. But you see these guys that are selling these courses and all these things that are saying, I know how to make all this money in real estate, but they're 2 years into the business. You know, they don't know. They've got, market has brought them up to done well. And yes, I'm not taking away from their hustle and how well they've worked, their systems, but you don't know until you get slapped in the face. That's why how many developers, I think 70-80% of developers in 2008 went bankrupt, went out of business.
Yeah.
I mean, so
it is what it is.
And there are a lot of smart guys out there that lost their shorts in 2008.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to go through a cycle again. We don't know when, but it is what's going to happen. But, make sure that, you're prepared. Make sure you have that reliable income stream, whatever that is, and make sure that you focus on the needs of your customers. Because if you can focus and satisfy the needs of your customers, they're more likely to continue to do business with you.
Yeah.
And my customers is clearly my tenants.
Yeah.
And I focus on them, what their needs are, and to make sure that they don't have a reason to leave me and go somewhere else. I'm trying to put a barrier so high that they're not even going to think about going to Elliot's house.
Yeah. Like a wife, I gotta lock her down, right? So she won't leave you. I gotta be good. I gotta be a good husband, or else she'll find somebody better. And I can't do life without her. So,
oh my goodness! Yes.
All right, Joe. Well, I
so
appreciate your time, and I'm really excited for guys to hear the show and get it out there to the world. I think you guys you're doing a lot of things right, and I appreciate your time today.
No problem. Again, I welcome anybody. Just reach out to me. Also, I have a weekly newsletter. If you go to the website, you can sign up for that. I'm trying to focus on providing quality content, and not just fluff, but good stuff where you can actionable. I do a weekly. What I call Wealth Wednesdays, every 7 p.m. every Wednesday. I'm doing one tonight. Just go to my website. It's on Instagram and also on Facebook, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and so on. So and also I do a live stream on Bigger Pockets every other week. So I'm trying to provide quality content to people and trying to encourage people to really up their game and to leverage the power of real estate to build a legacy for themselves, for their family, and hopefully help other people in the process.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, Joe.